Hi, welcome back to Practicing with Leanne the Kiwi Yogi. I'm Leanne and I'm ready to calm your farm today. So a lot of relaxation, everything based on the floor. You're just going to need a block if you've got one, or maybe like a bolster or a blanket. So just grab those things, lay out your mat, and we'll get started.
We all wanna be a little stronger.
So we're just going to start laying on our mat. So with our block, we're going to place it onto the floor just beneath the upper ribs. Okay, so we ideally want the top of the block or the blanket that you've rolled up in line with the top of the shoulders. So sitting in the center of your mat, make sure you're nice and long, and then just slowly rolling down onto your back. Come onto the elbows first, it's just a lot nicer. And then taking the block underneath your back of body, you're going to just lay down onto it and let the back of the head kind of rest down to the floor. So just lengthen the spine, adjust the hips, and then if that's comfortable for you, you can stay here. Another option is to take it up a level, taking it onto the long side of the block. This one can be a little bit tricky though, because if the head doesn't reach the floor, then we're not going to find that relaxation. So just sticking today perhaps with the flat option, laying down. So there with the arms alongside the body, shrug the shoulders, down the spine. So it may feel a little uncomfortable with the shoulders digging, or the shoulder blades digging into the back of the block, but try to just press through the back of the head and lift the chin slightly so you're not closing down the throat. And then from here, we're just going to take the soles of feet together and let the knees fall wide and just kind of draw the heels in toward the groin a little more. So this is a reclined Baddha Konasana, or even a supported Matsyasana. So we're feeling through the opening through the front of the chest, and we're feeling the inner groin and hips open up here. So just adjusting your body and start to arrive for your practice as you lay back and you start to allow the body to settle into stillness. Maybe closing down your eyes. Start to check in with the breath. Noticing how the breath moves in and out of the body without altering it in any way. Maybe check in with the body, notice how you may be holding tension in certain areas, shoulders or the back, lifting off the block, or maybe you're holding tension through the hips or the legs. So without changing it, just observing and noticing. And as you arrive for your practice, we just start to deepen the breath a little more, taking longer inhalations and a little bit longer exhalations. So the inhalations are taking the breath into the body. Allow your body to kind of lift up a little through the front side. And as you exhale, allow the back of the body to soften toward the floor, toward the mat, toward your carpet, wherever you are. Maybe you're laying in the bed doing this one. So we're just going to take another 5 to 6 long breaths here. So close down the eyes if you've opened them. Really just trying to soften through the knees. You'll feel a gentle stretch through the inner groin, the front of the hips. Maybe you're feeling the collarbones peeling away from each other. And feel the outer shoulders relaxing down toward the floor. Just staying with the thoughts of the breath, counting the breath in your own mind. Don't worry if your thoughts get taken away with your busyness of your day or events to come. Just draw it back feeling the space right here, right now. One more long, big breath. Feel that breath really expand into your lungs, into your ribs. Feel the breath go all the way into the back of the ribs, all the way down to the belly. And then as you exhale, feel the full softness and surrender as you come and allow your body to meet the mat. And then when you're ready, just slowly begin to open your eyes. We're going to come out of this nice and slow. So from here, you can engage the outer glutes. Maybe take your hands to the outer thighs and gently just guide your knees back in towards each other. And then from here, you're just going to walk your feet out a little bit wider and allow your knees to fall in towards each other. This is allowing the natural placement of the sacrum. Just take a moment here. And then when you're ready, we're just going to walk the feet back in toward each other. You're just going to roll over to one side. So I'm just going to roll to my right and just gently popping that block out from underneath me. I'm going to lay down onto my back and maybe resting the hands on the bellies. Again, walk your feet a little bit wider. Allow the knees to drop in towards each other. Shoulders in underneath the ribs, shoulders away from the ears. Close down your eyes. Take 2 breaths here. Just feeling the rise and the fall of the breath in the belly beneath your hands. And then from there, we're just slowly going to make our way back up to seated. So a nice way, just walk your feet back into center and then shuffle your hips over to one side, roll onto your side, and then just use the hands, press yourself back up to seated. So when you're there, just taking the feet and extending them forward, lengthening, maybe just having a little play. So if you're feeling like your hamstrings are quite tight, it's really nice to just grab a blanket, whatever thickness it may be, and just pop it in underneath the hips. It just allows a bit more of an anterior tilt through the hips and just loosens up the lower back a little bit more. So from here, if you're sitting on your blanket, then great, and if not, then that's okay. You can stay nice and low to the floor, but we're just going to take a nice half shoelace from here. So we're going to hug the right knee in towards the chest, hug the knee in towards the chest, and we're drawing the heel in towards the buttocks, and the sole of feet is pressing down into the floor. Now just kind of resting my hands on the front shin. Notice my left toes as they flex in toward the shin. So I'm pressing through the heel, grounding down through the seat of my buttocks and the pelvis. So it's from here, maybe you sit for just a moment, and then when you're ready, just going to release the right knee out to the right and just walk that foot to the inside of the left thigh. So a little half shoelace here, and then from here, just staying nice and tall. Maybe you want to just take the hands to the floor or the hands resting on the thigh. And if that's enough for you, you feel like this is quite uncomfortable, then you just want to breathe into the hips and allow that space to open up. If you want to take a little further, we're going to inhale, lengthen the hands up. And as we exhale, we're going to fold forward, reaching through the fingers. So I've got those little flutter fingers again. We're going to reach the fingers forward and reaching toward the foot, the ankle or the shin. Keep pressing through the left heel, but draw the leg back into the left hip socket. As you start to fold and round towards the left shin. So just allowing the shoulders to stay even. Try not to drop over to the left side. Taking the shoulders nice and even. Allow the back of the body to lengthen. Keep pressing through the left heel. And then from here, just releasing the head and let the chin tuck in toward the throat. So closing down that space and letting the head hang down. Taking a full breath into the belly. As you exhale, maybe lengthening the crown of head toward the foot a little more. Try not to let the shoulders creep up around the ears too much. We want to find a little bit of softness here. So taking the shoulders, firming sides of waist so that the leg can lengthen and sides of waist can lengthen. Take 2 to 3 more breaths here in your own time, really staying attuned with your breath. Noticing how it feels as it moves through your body, noticing where you're holding the tension in your own body. And then after your final exhale, we're slowly rising on up. There we go. Nice and slow, just gentle as we go. And then from here, we're going to slowly just change the legs over. So to do that, we'll just draw the right knee back in, extend the right leg long, a little shake out through the legs before we draw the left heel of the left foot in toward the groin and towards the buttocks. And then when you're ready, just dropping the left knee out toward the left. So either taking the hands either side of you or hands either side of the right leg here. You can just stay here, feeling the spine lengthen and the hip open, or reaching up through the hands and exhale, reaching forward with the fingers, little flutter fingers here, reaching all the way towards the foot, the ankle or the shin, and just rounding over. Breathing into the belly, trying to keep the shoulders nice and even, just allowing the back of the leg to lengthen and the body to surrender over. Taking these full, beautiful breaths here, keeping space around the ears by relaxing through the shoulders. Keep pressing the left knee toward the floor as you lengthen through the right heel. Take 2 to 3 more breaths here, really just honing in, finding your space, your edge. So your edge is something that you can kind of feel when you're getting too comfortable. Maybe you want to push it a little further, move the body a little deeper. But if your body's really screaming at you, then you're wanting to probably back it off. Come back to your edge rather than push too far. So it's final breath here, really using your breath to fill up the back of the body, between the shoulder blades, all the way down to the hips. Take the breath all the way in. Exhale, surrender it down. When you're ready, slowly unraveling and coming all the way up. And then drawing the left knee back in and extending the legs long. Awesome, just releasing here. I always like to just give the little legs a little shake out, a little blood to come back. And then we're going to take a nice wide-legged straddle. Okay, so this is not a favorite for many people, and if your inner groin is quite tight, there's definitely a couple of variations and options that we can play with here. Once again, the blanket is your option. This time, you might want to even fold it in half and give it a little bit more height. So get a little even cushion that you sit on. You can sit up onto the cushion. Just make sure that you're forward of the cushion a little further. Perhaps even you might want to take the block and sitting up onto the block as well. Or if you've got a bolster or a sausage pillow at home, then you can use that. So this is a wide straddle. So as I sit up nice and high, and then I'm just going to take the legs wider, okay? Now with the height through the hips, you'll notice that I can start to tilt my pelvis forward, and I want to kind of flex my toes in toward my shins, okay? So take the legs as wide as you can go, feeling through the legs, and then start to creep your bottom forward. So I'm almost kind of coming off the block, but I'm really nice and high. So from here, if you're feeling the stretch through the inner groin, then staying here, nice and high. Or maybe you want to take the fingers to the groin in front, and you're feeling a tilt through the pelvis. So you start to tilt through the pelvis and trying to spread your buttocks, your sit bones, a little wider, like they're pulling away from each other. So keeping the toes flexed, you start to just creep your fingers forward a little more, maybe coming down onto the palms, maybe stay high here. We're just going to stay here for about 2 to 3 breaths. Staying nice and high. Just allow the neck to soften, gazing toward the floor rather than straining your neck towards the screen. Allow the back of the neck to lengthen, gazing forward. Maybe keep pulling the inner heels toward each other as you flex the toes wider. So So a little activation through the legs is allowing an exterior rotation through the hip socket. So you're pulling the thighs away from each other, but using your muscles to do this. And maybe you're just walking your fingers a little further forward, and this is all coming from the tilt at the hips, okay? So it takes time. You could stay here for 2 breaths, you could stay here for 10, you could stay here for 10 minutes. It's really what works with you. But we're gonna hold here for about another 6 breaths. So please just really using your breath, even if you're feeling a lot of discomfort, to just descend on your exhale. Allow the back of the neck to lengthen, the shoulders to soften, finding your depth. Breathe into the back of the ribs. Breathe all the way to the belly. Feel like you're expanding your pelvis with your inhalation in all directions, front, back, sides. And then as you exhale, feel the weight of the torso come forward and down like a surrender. Take a full breath in. Long exhale out. 2 more of those. You're almost there. Final breath, letting go. And then when you're ready, after your final exhale, you're going to inhale, slowly rise on up, unraveling, walking the hands in, sitting up nice and tall. Awesome. So from here, we're going to come to a little side stretch. So if you felt like you're getting that stretch through the inner groin, we're going to take it a little further. So a couple of options. Once again, if you've got your blocks, it's nice to take the blocks to the outside of you, and then you can bring the floor up to you. So from here, we're going to come to a bit of a side stretch. So if you don't like the option of having the hand on the thigh or the shin as you keep the spine long, you can always just take it to the block, wherever it's comfortable beneath your hand. So from here, you're going to turn your torso. We're going to take our left hand forward first, and we're going to fold over toward the left leg. So you're going to take your right hand up toward the sky, palm facing toward the left, and then as you exhale, you're just going to bend through the bottom shoulder, elbow, and then you're going to allow the shoulder to drop down and the top hand to extend toward the toes, okay? So this is how it may look for you. Maybe you want to have the hand on the shin and lengthening long. Or maybe you want to take the fingers all the way toward the toes, wherever it is in your practice. But instead of closing the chest to face down toward the thigh, you want the chest and the torso to roll open towards the ceiling. Opening towards the sky, reaching the fingers over. Relax that left shoulder down. Breathe into the side of waist. Smooth breath in. Long exhale out. 2 more breaths here. Release the breath out. Nice. After your inhale, slowly rise on up. And release the right arm. Awesome. Let's come over to the other side. So you're going to grab your block, popping it over to the right side now. If you used your block, that's okay. If you didn't, just taking the hand on the thigh or the shin or your block. You're going to take your inhale, taking the left hand towards the sky. As you exhale, bending the right elbow and the left fingers reaching over toward the right foot. Okay, so keeping the chest turning up toward the sky, trying not to close down the heart. Taking your option wherever you are to lengthen through side of waist. You're really feeling the stretch from the outside of your left hip, sides of ribs, feeling it all the way up your arm toward the fingers. But keep rounding down through both sit bones, relaxing the bottom shoulder. Breathe into the ribs, breathe into the small of the waist. Open the heart. 2 more long, smooth breaths. Full exhale out. 1 more. Exhale it out. On your inhale, slowly rising on up. Exhale, release the left arm. Beautiful, nice job, guys. So we're just going to do a little release. So slowly start to pull the heels of the feet in toward each other. And then if you're sitting up onto your block and it's a bit high, you can pop off onto your bottom. So you're just coming into a Baddha Konasana here. So if this is too much, then you can sit up back onto your blanket. And if you want to go a little deeper, just sit onto the floor, or you can even grab the block and pop it underneath the feet. Okay, so taking the soles of feet together here and just allowing everything to kind of descend. So I'm going to pop off the blanket. And with the feet a little higher, the knees are going to open up a little more for me. Okay, so from here, either staying nice and high, lengthening through the spine. As you exhale, you might want to round over, coming and folding toward the feet. So this doesn't have to be an option with you for the block. You just simply pop that off to the side and then just rounding over. So it's always nice to just rest the hands on the feet, the ankles or the shins. I like to even use my elbows on the inside of my knees to use them to press the knees down to the floor and open up my inner groin a little more. Maybe you even want to pull the big pads of the big toes away from each other and allow the soles of feet to turn up toward you. And surrendering. Let's take one more breath here. Full exhale out. Slowly rising on up, but before we go, we're going to give just a gentle massage using the thumbs on the soles of your feet. So this just basically is the way that you go, having a little play, pushing into the pads of your feet. My feet are super squishy and they move beneath your thumbs quite easily. Maybe your feet don't do that so much. Maybe they need a little bit more love. So just feel the soles of your feet. Try to feel where there's tightness, maybe a buildup of skin. Maybe it needs a little bit more love. Even draw the heels away and gently massage through the heels. So what we want to do is we want to loosen up any kind of stagnant energy stuck in the feet. And then we're going to take a nice reclined posture to coming up next, and then we'll be able to allow the release. So from here, you're going to take the soles of feet down into the floor, and you're just going to swivel your hips to the, or your bottom to the center of your mat once more. And before we come down, just make sure that you have your block nice and handy. And once again, you can use a blanket or you can use a cushion, but you just make sure that's off to the side as you lay down. And then laying down onto your back, soles of feet down into the floor. Just shuffle the shoulder blades in under the spine, and then lift up your hips and tuck your tailbone under. And then from here, you're going to grab your block. Option 1 is having it on the flat side again, as we did at the beginning. Or option 2 is, if it's a bit more in your practice, you're going to take the sacrum to the longer skinny side. Okay, so even though it's in my practice to take it maybe a little bit higher, I'm going to stay nice and low and just honor that calming action for my nervous system. So I'm going to just squeeze through the buttocks, press through the feet and lift the hips up, and then just slide the block in underneath the sacrum. So when you lower your hips back down, you're going to feel it kind of on the flat part of your lower back, which is your sacrum, and you shouldn't feel it up in the natural curve of your spine. So you can kind of feel, hopefully you can see some shape here. There's my lower spine curving, and then it's the hips coming down. All right, so it's from here that we're just going to stay in a supported bridge, either staying here, laying back, or perhaps you want to take the option of squeezing the bottom and taking it up a little higher, arms alongside the body. So this is helping open up through the front side of the body that we just spend a lot of time compressing or folding on. So now we're just going to open it up like we did at the start of our practice. So once again, making sure the shoulders are away from the ears, relaxing down, close down your eyes. And we're just going to take about 5 to 6 breaths here. Really breathing all the way to the belly. Notice if you're still squeezing through the buttocks. See if you can soften the buttocks, and you'll feel the kind of lower back and tailbone soften down, and you'll feel an opening through the front of the hips. Allow the weight of the block to support you. Soften, try to soften through the feet and the legs, even though they're pressing down. Try to relax the legs somewhat. Taking your final few breaths here. Sometimes you want to stay a little longer, so just lengthen the breath longer. And then when you're ready, we're just going to slowly squeeze the bottom, lift the hips, and I'm going to roll the block down onto the flat side. So if you were already on the flat side, staying there, but you might want to just shuffle the block a little further away. So it's from here that we're going to take our Viparita Karani. So generally this is the legs up the wall, and you can use the wall if this feels quite uncomfortable for you. But this is just a nice option. Pop a bolster, that's the sausage pillow, or a blanket, or a block, and keep it underneath the hips. And then from here, just curl the knees slowly in towards the chest. You'll feel a pressure through the lower back, through the upper back as the knees draw in. And then from here, just slowly start to extend, maybe one leg at a time, up towards the sky. Now you shouldn't feel any pinching through the lower back. I have the block is in line with the top of my pelvis, so I don't have any pain or discomfort. And it may take a little while to just settle here. So you may feel completely uncomfortable and that you're having to work to keep your legs up, but it's as the body rests down and the nervous system settles, then the blood starts to drain away from the feet and down the legs. So this is also known as the fountain of youth pose. So said to reverse the signs of aging. So when the heart doesn't have to work as hard, then you're able to slow everything down. And so that's why we take our legs up the wall. It's perfect for the end of the day. And if you actually close down your eyes, then you'll start to feel the sensations of tingling through the toes as the blood's draining from the feet and down the legs. So just watch it as it travels down your legs. Soften everything down. If it gets too much, just bend your knees a little. But it's ultimately we want the legs higher than the heart to allow this deep rest. Or legs up the wall. So just another 5 breaths here. Really long and smooth breaths. Allowing your thoughts to settle on the sensations you're feeling through your legs, the sensations of the breath as it moves through the body. Trying to just let go. And then when you're ready, slowly start to bend one knee in toward the chest, followed by the other, releasing through the lower back. And then from here, just taking the soles of feet slowly toward the floor, releasing the heels down, squeezing the bottom, lifting the hips up, popping the block out from underneath you, and very slowly rolling down the spine. So just notice, even if you come back up in a little bridge, we're going to lower down. Notice each vertebrae as it connects to the floor, and then your tailbone lengthens down, and the small curve in your back just comes up off the floor. Just take a moment here. Maybe take your feet a little wider, And let your knees drop in once more. When you're ready, slowly walk your feet back to center. And then from here, we're going to lengthen through the right leg. And you're going to draw the left knee in towards the chest. Just make sure you've got a little bit of space either side of you now. We're going to come into our spinal twist. So just use your hands atop of the shin to hug the left knee in. Keep pressing through the right heel and flex the toes just slightly. So you're squeezing that right thigh and pressing the hip down and the thigh down. So from here you can stay nice and high, or you can take your, you can stay here nice and high, or you can take your right hand to the outside of the left leg, take your left arm long, palm faces down, okay? So stay high with the leg, keep hugging it in, or let the knee kind of fall away and the right arm straightens. And then from here, either rest the left toes onto the front of the left thigh, or hook the toes to the back of the knee. So let the leg go a little bit longer. So it's from here, you're going to use your right hand to take the left knee over toward the left and keep pressing through the left arm and left shoulder to stay down to the floor. So you're getting a nice deep twist, trying to open through the chest. Don't worry where your foot kind of rests, that's just let it be where it needs to be. Maybe just turning your face in the opposite direction of the knee and closing down the eyes. So as the knee comes over toward the right, try to relax through the buttocks. And you'll feel the stretch all the way down the left side, out toward the knee. Breathe into the side of the waist and the ribs. And then you'll feel the compression through the belly as you inhale, so the belly's going to try to expand out into the thigh. As you exhale, draw it back in towards the spine. 2 to 3 more breaths here, counting your own breath. Surrendering it all out. And after your final exhale, Bilala, you might want to come back to center slowly. Hug the left knee in, and then extend the leg long. Just take a moment here with both heels resting on the floor. Just adjust the back of the body to settle down. Maybe the hands resting on the front of the hips. Just feeling into the space of the body through the legs. And traveling that awareness up through the torso, to the shoulders, and down towards the fingers. And then we'll come to the other side, just slowly hugging the right knee in this time. So just taking that left leg nice and long toward the top of your mat, hug the right knee in. So hand to top of the shin, squeezing it in. And then taking the option of taking that right knee long and keeping the left hand to the outside of the right knee. That arm is nice and long. Extend your right arm out towards the right, the palm facing down like we did with our left. And then releasing the toes to wherever they'll go, to the front of the thigh or tucking behind the back of the knee. You're going to take that left hand, press the knee over toward the left. So right knee over toward the left, twisting through the body. Nice. So you'll notice that that right shoulder is down to the floor, the shoulder blade resting down. Maybe turning the palm to face up if it feels better for the shoulder. And just allowing that right knee to come over toward the left. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make it all the way to the floor. Breathing into the ribs, maybe taking your face in the opposite direction of the knee. Closing down your eyes. Taking 2 to 3 more breaths here, really just breathing all the way into the belly. Feeling through the sides of the waist. And after your final exhale, slowly turn your head back to center, engage the belly, and draw your knee back to center. Hug the knee towards the chest, both hands on top of the shin. And then slowly release. Now our option here, while you're calming your farm, just resting down, maybe just hitting the pause on your screen now to take some time to rest in your Shavasana. Just allowing full relaxation of the back of the body, knowing that if you want to stay here longer, just pausing the screen and allowing it to become your practice for the end. After you've taken that time for your Shavasana, relaxing down, and slowly just bending the knees, draw the knees towards the chest, hands to the top of the shin. And then we're going to just come back up to seated to end our practice, rolling back up. And there you go. If you had any woes of the day, they would have melted away. It's allowing everything to just level down, calm down. And to end our practice, take your hands to your heart center, palms pressed, thumbs point back toward the heart. Just gently bowing the forehead toward the fingers, ending your practice. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for supporting my channel. Please hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you for the next one.
We all wanna be a little strong.